Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first podcast. And for today, we have a really special guest. It's a pleasure to introduce you, Mr. Michael Schwan from Switzerland, who has a very long history in the Ironman races. He's done over 50 long courses and a couple more short or middle distance triathlons. He participated in multiple Ironman World Championships, and it's a pleasure to have him for our first show. Hello, welcome, Michael. How are you doing?
Hello, Momo. I'm really happy that I get the opportunity to feature in your podcast, and we know each other since quite some time now. And just to speak about my career and our relationship and Ironman is a very good idea. So I hope everyone understands my English. I try to speak a bit slow so that it's easy to understand. I think this is the purpose. So I'm really excited to answer all the questions that you have. Well,
all right, good. And why don't we start right off with can you share a story how your first Ironman went and how you've evolved as an athlete since then? The whole journey of yours started with the Ironman?
Well, that's a long story, of course. So it would take us 2 hours to explain, but just to the point, and for the audience, they want to know how did it come that I started doing Ironmans. I was doing since I was 16 long distance bike rides, so I was a biker. Then I started running a little bit, but then the big thing came in 2007 when I was expatriated I'm working for Nestle, the food company. I was expatriated to Thailand to be in charge of Asia for a certain technical business that we had there. And then I had the opportunity to swim in a huge pool. So we had a 50-meter outdoor pool in the plain sun at our disposal, and I started swimming. And then I put one and one together. So I said, why not doing a triathlon? And then by pure coincidence, at that time in 2007, they announced the first Bangkok triathlon to happen. So Bangkok, is a huge city, 15 million people.
Yeah. Was it a full distance triathlon?
No, it was a short one with a 1.5 kilometer swim and 40 kilometer bike and the 10 kilometer run. So I had actually absolutely no idea. And the coincidence was that at that time, if you wanted to do a real Ironman with Ironman, you had to prove that you had done short Olympic distance and a half distance before they would let you enter the race for a full distance. So the full distance that I wanted to do was also in 2007 in 2007 in Australia near Perth. And in order to get that done, I needed to prove to Ironman that I had done 2 races. So the first one was the Bangkok thing that came up.
That's the Olympic distance?
That was the Olympic distance. Then came Singapore, just I'm looking here on my list because I have a list. Just 3 months later came Singapore with the half distance. And then another 3 months later, I was in the plane going to Australia to my first Ironman in Perth. That's how it was.
What year was it? 2000?
2007. That was all 2007. So actually, because you mentioned I've done so many competitions, so that everyone knows I'm not just talking bullshit. I have meticulously written down on an Excel all these races that I did, the results, and also some comments what happened to me during all these races. So at the end, that list is now 100 races long. And it all started in 2007. Just maybe a funny thing about the race in Bangkok, because it's really an interesting story that only we can tell, because there were only 100 competitors, right? So they crowded us the day before in a little restaurant and tried to explain us how this is all going to happen. So if you've never been to Bangkok, there is a huge dirty river in the middle of Bangkok. And we were wondering how this is going to happen. And then while standing there was a lady that asked me, "Are you from here?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm living in Bangkok." She was British. And then she said, "How the hell are we going to swim in that river? It's totally polluted. It is flowing. And they want to pull us out on a boat and swim back. This seems to me like a big risk." So I was so high-nosy because I thought that lady, she has no clue, even less clue than I have. It turned out to be, it was Chrissie Wellington, the 6 times champion of Kona, who asked me that question. So that was also for her first professional race.
Oh, she started as a pro.
Starting as a pro, because she had not done anything before, and they had their training camp in Philippines, and Brett Sutton, the trainer of her, he had decided that her first race would be in Bangkok. So that lady, of course,
wow.
So we were actually pulled with a pontoon in the middle of that river, and we had to swim in that river. So I had a fantastic swim time of 22 minutes, because actually the river did not behave as the organizers had predicted. So everyone had a very good swim time, because we were swimming actually with the current. I think Chrissie Wellington, she had 15 minutes or something. Yeah.
Okay. How did the first Ironman in Australia then went? A couple months later.
The first Ironman in Australia, that was quite an adventure. Also a story to tell, one of the 1,000 stories. I had a race bike, because for me that was too early for using a triathlon bike. So I had used my race bike already in the half distance race in Singapore. And then I took the same race bike to Australia. And then
did you have the aero bars up front?
Yes, I put aero bars. Yeah, I put the aero bar. That's correct. But then what happened is, it was in a very little tiny town. So I had booked a little bungalow, and then just 1 hour before the check-in, the day before, you have to check in your bicycle, and then they would close it off. You have no longer access to it. I fiddled with the screw of my saddle to adjust the saddle height in the last moment, which you should never do. Never touch anything on your bike, especially not 1 hour before checking it in. So the screw came off, and the whole clamp, actually the whole clamp was unusable. The clamp that holds the seat.
Wow.
And I was in the middle of nowhere, because I had made a little last ride, and then I started in the middle of nowhere fiddling with my screw. And then, long story short, all the shops were closed. Nobody could help me. And then suddenly a guy from a shop appeared on the window, and I was waving to him, and he helped me out. We finally found a solution for the screw, and then I could start my race.
Wow, that's a funny story.
That was quite a story, because without a saddle, it is difficult to ride on a bike, right? So
I know that. So for me, I have also not quite that extreme of an example, but I've tested new things on race day in terms of nutrition and and socks and stuff like that. Not the best idea. I wouldn't recommend it. So nothing new on race day is still holds true for me. So
even the details, because you never know what implication it has. fiddling with a screw can be a problem. Just changing to socks that were never washed before. There are many details. Don't change anything.
Yeah,
absolutely anything.
And for example, I had a friend or couple actually that asked me, I have my shoes are almost done. My running shoes are almost done. I need to change them, but this is shortly before the race, and they asked me, what should I do? Should I buy a new pair, or should I just run with those? And I always say, if it's just like a month before or 2 weeks before the event, just stay with the used ones. It's better because you don't have the time to get your, even if it's the same exact manufacturer and the same number and stuff like that, the size is the same. It's you always need some time to get used to the new equipment. So nothing new on race day.
Yeah.
And
no, that's right. Maybe in that context, I can say something before I forget it. When the people who are listening, some of them are newcomers, right? And they always want to know what to do. They should always remember one thing. The worst thing is that you know these abbreviations, did not finish, DNF,
yeah,
right? Or DNS, did not start,
yes,
right? So the worst thing is you don't start because you trained and then you got an accident or you had a health problem or the bike was breaking down before. So the worst thing is you need to be absolutely sure that you make it to the start. So if you get it did not start, that is actually a bad thing. And not even thinking about starting, so not training for anything, just biking around or doing something, this is also not a good idea. And Ironman, they offer you a nice objective, you get a medal, you get the recognition, but the first step is you need to get over the first hurdle. The first hurdle is you need to decide to do something. That would be did not D&D, did not decide, right? Did not do anything. So that is the first thing. The second one is did not start. So you were training and doing everything, but then either last minute or a few weeks before you get a problem, and then you don't even make it to the start. And then the next thing is that it did not finish. The did not finish can have multiple reasons. There can be something wrong with the nutrition, it's simply too long, or you had an accident, that is also not a good idea. And only then comes the number 4, where you say you finished, and then the question comes, how fast have you been? But that is only the last quarter of the whole journey.
Yeah.
The first one is you need to start thinking about it, doing something, then you need to make it to the start, then you need to finish, and then comes the question, if you're finishing the last one, Ironman offers you to be the last one after 17 hours, or to be the one of the first ones, like you were in Frankfurt Momo when you qualified for Hawaii. So you were the second of your age group. So you didn't have that problem to think about finishing, but that is how you need to.
But there are a lot of Sorry. Yeah. There are a lot of details that need to fit in place on race day so that you can get it to make it to the finish line, right? And we often forget about how many things can go wrong on race day, right? But on top of that, to segue into our next question, what motivated you to do so many, over 100 Ironman races on the half and full distance? What was your main driving force to get there?
Yeah, that is a question many people ask me, and then the answer is why I did 100. That is another question, but why I got motivated in the first place, this is very simple. It's actually straightforward. So my personal thinking was, my feeling was that as all of us, we are working for a company, or we have our own company, then you work for customers. You always do something where you rely on the feedback of others, right? When you work in an enterprise, you're like a robot a little bit. You can give your best, but you still rely very much on everything around you. So I was looking for something where I could demonstrate that I can do something by myself. So instead of creating an enterprise or starting to invent something, I thought the simplest thing is to demonstrate what I can do with my own body and mind. So without any other big changes. So and then of course you can do a lot of things. You can sign up for Guinness Book of Records and hop on one leg from Frankfurt to Mumbai or something, but those are sort of gimmicky things. And when I saw Ironman, the concept of Ironman, I saw all boxes ticked. It is a standardized competition, highly standardized. It is giving you a lot of recognition when you finish it, because the branding is very nicely done. The whole thing around Ironman is nicely done. Then the organization is perfect, right? There is nothing that matches the way how they organize the whole thing. And then you had already training plans, you had books written about it, and so on and so forth. And then I decided, okay, that is it. And instead of doing a long distance bike ride or something like that, I decided embarking on Ironman. And also, it was a challenge for me because it is a real challenge. It is not like sitting on a bike and riding 10 hours non-stop or something, because there is a lot of stress involved. You need to master 3 disciplines, not only one. And usually that is the most important thing. The slogan of Ironman is everything is possible, anything is possible, because normally 99.99% of all people that you would ask, they would think it is not possible to swim so long, to bike so long, and then on top run a marathon, because they are normally used only to marathon. If you say run a marathon in 4 hours, they say, wow, how long is that? But then the other thing is totally different. So that was my motivation. I wanted to do something that was extraordinary, and that should be more exclusive than having 5 Ferraris in the garage, because there are more people that have 5 Ferraris in the garage in the world than people that have done Ironmans. So I thought this is cheaper than having 5 Ferraris. And
more exclusive.
And you're very exclusive, yeah. All
Okay.
right, so that is the story. Yeah.
Perfect.